You know how there's a main character, then there's this other character who shows up, they're super awesome, and they kinda steal the show? For Megaman X, that's Zero. For BoBoiBoy, that was Fang. Then his older brother showed up. Yeah, Fang's still pretty cool, but Captain Kaizo's on a completely different level. Is he awesome enough to hold his own against Zero? Let's see. It's the legendary Maverick Hunter versus the legendary Space Rebel in today's episode of KO Claim! Zero versus Captain Kaizo! Despite very different backgrounds, you can look at Zero and Kaizo and see the same type of character. High-tech swordsmen among the strongest fighters in their universes. They initially dwarf the main characters, and they've got that cool guy MO. The tricky part is both characters have undergone soft reboots, which somewhat modified their abilities, especially Zero. For simplicity's sake, we'll go with Zero before his standalone series and Kaizo before BoBoiBoy Galaxy. Even so, you can't say precisely how powerful these characters are, since we mostly see them beat up enemies from highly subjective universes. That says nothing about how much they can bench or how many meters per second they can run. However, we do have this basis to go on. If you consider Archie's Megaman comic as canon, it was said that the Robot Masters were made to establish a new standard, and literally nothing can stop them except something like Megaman, who was made with similar technology. Zero is not a Robot Master, he's the next generation beyond that, which makes him superior to anything modern technology can throw at him, except, I guess, the overkill stuff.
Hey, scary clown!
Captain Kaizo's bragging rights come from the fact that you can't pin him down to earthly standards. He's a cosmic legend, while BoBoiBoy and his friends faced only the aliens who found their way to Earth. Kaizo would face a much broader, more dangerous assortment of foes on an interstellar level, and from the looks of it, he's used to coming out on top. What I'm trying to say is these guys have resumes to be reckoned with, but who would dominate between the two? Let's dive right in and find out. Strength. Being a robot, Zero isn't bound by human limitations. We can use the original Mega Man as a stepping stone to determine his strength, at least to some degree. In Mega Man 5, the title character lifts Dr. Wily's collapsing castle, or at least the area of it that was on screen, or near enough to being on screen. However, this is one of those won't usually happen moments where a character goes beyond himself or herself and does something crazy. If we take that too seriously, given that Zero is a next generation robot, he would logically be stronger than that. However, I'm pretty sure he can be easily crushed against the ceiling, which means this kind of power does not generally apply. This is supported by the fact that Mega Man requires the super arm from Gutsman in order to lift heavy but nonetheless smaller objects than a castle. Like I said, Zero would have to be stronger than Mega Man, but he's not lift a castle strong, at least unless he has one of those once-in-a-lifetime moments of insane power. Regardless, when the Maverick Hunters first encountered Zero, he nearly destroyed Sigma, who was considered the greatest Reploid at the time, and he did it with nothing but his savage strength and a piece of metal. It is possible that he was accessing some of his true potential as a pure evil being of destructive power, which may be linked to his awakened form. However, in this state, he seems completely insane. All he did was laugh like a maniac and he looked like his normal self, while in his awakened form he was capable of speech, even if completely evil. He was giving off immense radiant energy. That might suggest that even without his awakened form, Zero has the potential for devastating strength. Kaizo may look like a human, except for the crimson eyes, but he's actually one of the many fictional aliens who are, for some inexplicable reason, almost indistinguishable from humans.
Hey, why do you look like a human being?
You are the one that looks like an alien.
Like Zero, he isn't necessarily bound by human limitations. We'll probably never know if he is in any way stronger than a human, since he bolsters his attacks with powers and weaponry. However, if we consider his energy powers as part of his strength, he is incredibly strong. He is able to enhance his punches and kicks with energy manipulation, which is derived from his high-tech mask. This allowed him to knock out the enhanced armored alien soldier, Ijojo, with only 2 attacks, including a devastating punch. Without his energy manipulation, chances are Kaizo can be overpowered by Zero. However, with his energy manipulation, Kaizo shows overwhelming levels of raw strength, enough to surpass Zero under most circumstances. Mobility. Zero is very agile, capable of making jet-propelled dashes, somewhat impressive leaps, and navigating across walls in ways that, as far as I know, completely defy the laws of physics. That same agility comes into play for his aerial combat. He can also use his Z-Buster's kickback to propel himself in mid-air to some degree. Kaizo is extremely agile, and his energy manipulation takes this agility even farther. He can make dashes a lot like Zero. However, these dashes appear to have much more range. He can also augment his running speed and aerial maneuvers in the same way. At times, Kaizo moves in bursts of speed so great that he briefly disappears. He is capable of keeping up with the lightning speed of BoBoiBoy Thunderstorm, easily reacting to most of Thunderstorm and Fang's attacks. He was also fast enough to avoid multiple, confusing attacks that appeared to involve some form of teleportation. With the help of his energy manipulation, Captain Kaizo has the edge in mobility. Mentality. Both Zero and Kaizo are pretty serious characters, though there are some notable differences in their behavior. Zero is capable of showing an almost big brotherly side to Megaman X. However, their personalities are somewhat polarized. In a fight, he generally goes all out with no hesitation. Though a dedicated maverick hunter, Zero does not consider himself a hero. He simply fights for those he believes in, which is funny because he consistently believes in heroes, which sort of ends up making him a hero too. He does not like to see innocents hurt, and is willing to sacrifice himself for any cause or individual he deems worthy. If his allies go rogue, he will try to talk some sense into them, but if he sees no other options, he may use fatal force. When X was unsure if the Maverick virus was having a negative effect on him, Zero insisted he was fine and proceeded to defend himself with force, which proves the point, am I right? After his respected friend, the Colonel, refused to stand down during a catastrophic misunderstanding, Zero ultimately took him down, permanently. When his grief-stricken sister, who happens to be Zero's love interest, vengefully attacked him, he fought her as well. He didn't intend to end her, but he accidentally did it anyway. That pretty much tore him apart inside. However, it didn't have a lasting effect on his ability to function as a maverick hunter. Most of the time, Zero keeps a level head no matter what you do to him. If you reveal that he was the first rogue robot or maverick of his era, something he had no idea about, he'll hardly blink. If you tease him with the revelation that he was created for evil, he'll just ask you to cut the small talk and fight already. It does not affect his present. Despite his positive attributes, Zero is capable of entering his awakened form under very specific circumstances. If this happens, he defaults to pure evil. Kaizo is a bit different. He will sometimes try to obliterate his enemy in one go, but other times he'll hold back or just watch things play out and let a teammate do the job for him. During his battle with BoBoiBoy and Fang, he was capable of defeating them pretty quickly, but wanted to see what they were made of, so he pushed them until they used their powers in ways never before seen. He enjoys a good fight, perhaps a little too much, laughing in delight when BoBoiBoy and Fang began to step up their game.
Bagus, bagus! Lagi!
Make no mistake, he's a pretty ruthless guy. Fang may be his little brother, but you'd never know it until Fang, who thought it was obvious, revealed it to his friends.
Buat apa ikut abang kau tu? Dia tu dah kuat. Aku kena jaga. Hah? Kenapa ni?
Abang kau!
Yelah. Kau menabuk kita orang sama.
Apa salah kau tak bagi tahu awak, ha?
Hah? Abang sendiri pun kau tak boleh pujuk sebelum belasah kita orang ke, ha?
No, I honestly don't think Fang could have talked his brother into standing down. When Fang turned against Kaizo to protect his friends, the guy just attacked them all without hesitation. Kaizo's not exactly a villain so much as an anti-hero, I think. I mean, he has good intentions, but he'll behave like a villain if he gets the job done. He thought BoBoiBoy and his friends were unworthy of their powers, so he battled them to take their power bands and give them to allies who deserved them. When he began to get the impression that they might deserve their powers after all, he tested them until he was sure of it. If he thinks you have something to offer in a fight, he wants to see it, unless it's Jojo.
This can't be happening!
The poor soul barely knew what hit him. Durability. Zero can take multiple hits that would prove fatal against a human. However, he is definitely not the sturdiest robot in the world. Unlike Megaman X, he generally can't utilize enhancement armors, although there are exceptions. In Marvel vs. Capcom 3, as well as a few other games where Capcom picked fights with the world. Zero's health or stamina is shown to be 3 out of 7, while his other stats are considerably higher than that. In Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, they've gone so far as to lower his stamina to 2 out of 7, proving that durability is not his strong suit. In his series finale appearance, I've only seen Kaizo take damage once because he's just that good. When they finally broke through his defenses, he was simultaneously punched by 3 Earth Elemental monsters, infused with BoBoiBoy Fire, BoBoiBoy Water, and Fang. The mere shockwave of the impact almost knocked down everyone nearby. Yes, it broke his mask, made a mess of his outfit, and he barely managed to get up. But he got up anyway. That's some serious durability. It's tricky, cause Zero possesses inhuman durability, yet he's not super durable by the standards of his kind. Kaizo is a creature of flesh and blood, which should automatically make him more vulnerable than Zero, but he's also an alien, and he can take serious punishment. Then again, all the fighters in the BoBoiBoy world, including humans, can take a ridiculous amount of punishment without, dying. Captain Kaizo's durability may not be unique so much as a universal standard. Besides, it's hard to say how consistent it is, given that we've only seen him take damage once in the original BoBoiBoy series. Perhaps he is highly resistant to blunt impact, more so than Zero, but being an organic lifeform with no armor, a strike from Zero's Z-Saber would probably be deadly, if Zero can make it past his speed and defenses. Skill and tactics. While Zero's durability is neither low nor impressive, his fighting skill is shown to be a 7 out of 7 in some of the Capcom vs. World games. Some say that in those games, Zero has many of the best combos among all the fighters, some of which can be unleashed in potentially unlimited loops. However, his fighting skill has been lowered to 5 out of 7 in the Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which is still impressive but, less so. He is skilled with a variety of weapons and capable of somehow learning new abilities from bosses he defeats. Likewise, Kaizo is a master swordsman with legendary skill. Unlike Zero, he has only displayed proficiency with a single weapon, but he also possesses hand-to-hand combat capabilities that he uses with devastating effectiveness. He was skilled enough to easily fight both BoBoiBoy, Thunderstorm, and Fang at the same time, even though they are 2 of the most versatile heroes in the series. Sure, they took him down eventually, but if he'd gone all out in the first place, that would never have happened. Special abilities and weaponry. Zero is armed with a Z-Saber for melee, a Zero Buster for ranged combat, and way too many techniques for me to comfortably list or even juggle in my head. Not to mention a handful of additional weapons, but it depends on the game. These techniques include the C-Flasher, which allows him to punch the ground and release a blast of energy balls. He also has a number of elemental attacks. In some cases, parts of his body can be modified for different functions. In very unusual contexts, he can use armor such as his energy armor and Neo armor. He can also attain enhanced forms such as Black Zero. To all you hardcore, softcore, or foamcore fans out there who could do a better job of summarizing these abilities, kudos. Educate me in the comments if I missed some important detail.
I welcome it!
Aside from awakened form, I will give that some more attention in a minute. In contrast, Kaizo only has his sword and energy manipulation. However, he can use his energy power in a variety of different ways, kind of like a Green Lantern. In addition to enhancing his punches, kicks, and speed, it can create force fields of various forms. Sometimes it functions a lot like telekinesis, allowing him to restrain enemies or shove them around with a simple hand gesture. Beyond this, his energy powers can overload objects when he touches them. With the help of his force fields, he was able to catch BoBoiBoy Thunderstorm's lightning blade, although it took some effort. Zero's energy manipulation seems to work in tandem with his sword. He can release ranged energy slashes, something we've seen Zero do before. Kaizo's force fields are incredibly tough. BoBoiBoy and Fang only managed to break one when they combined their abilities in one of their most powerful attacks yet. Still, he does have a weakness, the inability to focus his energy powers on more than 3 objects at a time. In short, Zero has the advantage in a more varied array of versatile abilities, while Kaizo's raw power is generally superior. At this stage, you may have a pretty strong opinion of who dominates the battle, but first, let's enter the bonus round. Game Changers. Under very specific circumstances, Zero can enter his energized awakened form. Of course, like I said earlier, it makes him evil. In his awakened form, he can launch limited homing attacks, create huge energy eruptions by punching the ground, and given time, his sword can grow so powerful that it can fire massive energy slashes that take down Megaman X in one hit. In Japanese, Kaizo's name means hacked, or modded. Kind of appropriate because not only do his abilities feel suspiciously overpowered, but he has a flat-out hacks attack that was in need of some serious nerfing. Even though most of his powers seem to stem from his mask, he also seems to have a power band, just like BoBoiBoy and his friends. Except this power is... honestly, I don't exactly know what it does. All I know is they hit him so hard it broke his mask. They proclaimed their victory, he was like, oh really? Then he snapped his fingers and the fight was over. Conclusion. If Kaizo can pull a Thanos on Zero, obviously he'd have the upper hand if he were to go all out. But here's the thing, he doesn't go all out from the get-go. When he first fought BoBoiBoy, he started off using his bare hands and force fields. Zero will not give him that leeway, and who knows what kind of damage his sword would do to an organic being, even an alien. Of course, he'd have to get past Kaizo's reflexes, highly durable force fields and raw skill, but Zero possesses skill that could potentially approach or rival Kaizo's. Zero could keep Kaizo guessing with his many techniques, and some of them, most notably the elemental ones, are especially good at exploiting enemies' weaknesses. However, Kaizo has shown no specific vulnerability to any form of elemental attack. Yes, Zero might be able to confuse Kaizo with his sheer number of unique attacks, but Kaizo adapts to new tactics very quickly. Zero's Dark Hold technique is probably the scariest thing he can do to Captain Kaizo, given that it freezes time. However, it doesn't work on most bosses, and Captain Kaizo is definitely a boss level fighter. But given that a boss can use Dark Hold on Zero, it's likely that vulnerability to Dark Hold has nothing to do with your power level, so much as a gameplay limitation. It is entirely possible that Zero can defeat Captain Kaizo using Dark Hold, but he isn't known to rely on this ability, and it has limited appearances within the games. Captain Kaizo's sheer power is amazing, but Zero never had to overpower his enemies, he just had to outfight them, but it's hard to outfight someone with such skill and adaptability. If Zero were somehow able to attain his awakened form, he might be able to match Kaizo's power. Still, BoBoiBoy fought Kaizo with an evolved elemental form, and help from a friend. These guys are not pushovers, they were using attacks beyond anything they'd ever done before, and it still wasn't enough. Zero might have some chance of beating Kaizo, but ultimately he's facing a warrior with superior power and equal, if not superior skill. Zero is awesome, there's no doubt about it, but I claim that Captain Kaizo makes the KO. Too easy. Winner! Thanks for watching, subscribe and hit the bell if you want to see more KO Claim!